Okay, in this video I'm sort of showing 3 jobs sort of going on at the same time. So what we're looking at is the fuel pump sprocket, removing that and then removing the fuel pump itself. That's 2 of them, at least 2 jobs. So the first thing we're doing is looking at loosening the nut first on the fuel pump sprocket. The nut being here. So what we do is get a bolt there and a bolt there to go through the sprocket into 2 holes behind which are threaded, and that will lock up the sprocket while we get a spanner or a socket to loosen that. And once you're at that stage, you can remove these 2 bolts out of the way, and if you do the generic way, which is a little device like this, and then you've got these 2 bolts that sort of wind into the little designed holes there and there, and then with this bolt, also the nut off and out of the way, wind that until it butts up against the shaft there, and then what we'll do is pull this sprocket off with its shaft. If this way isn't used, then there's the other way again. You can come around the back there, where the fuel pump is, and where the nuts are located, one here, one down the back, and one just in the gap down there. They're loosened off enough. Come back this way, and just gently or firmly tap that nut with a hammer, but bearing in mind you tap them on threads, so you don't want to damage them. But it's enough to loosen the fuel pump off at the back. Then all you've got to do is just get the nuts off and then pull the pump off. Looking at the nuts around here, it can be a pain to get to. So what I've used to get to the nuts around the back where the pump is this tool of mine here, a 12mm socket and a 150mm long extension bar, just to get down in this gap down here. It is quite tricky, bear in mind, but it's doable. Also when the pump is off, well, before you take the pump off, take the connection off at the back there, so it's free to come off. And the 3rd job really is if attempting to take the cam belt off. Have this lock put in here, and then down there you can see where the big bolt is down there, which goes into the crankshaft. Wind that around enough so it clicks upon this lock, and then down here this sprocket be lined up where it should be, which means the piston is lined up where it should be. You can put a lock on down there, slip the belt off of this fuel pump sprocket, and there's no lock for that needed. And so once those positions are locked in, you can just remove that lock down the bottom off, slip this belt off, and then just put the lock back on over, just to keep the shaft and crankshaft, camshaft and crankshaft in position. And that should work quite nicely. When it comes to putting this sprocket back on and tightening up the nut, that could be a bit of a pain in the ass. So you've got one of these tools that I've made up, sort of like a set of prongs, if you like, with 2 bolts in it. 2 bolts there, they will fit in the 2 holes just down there where these 2 bolts are already. And so it's a matter of holding it sprocket still with these prongs, and then getting a ratchet or torque wrench and socket on that nut, and sort of holding one with one hand and then doing it up with the other hand with a torque wrench. So yep, and that's how you get around that.